84-year-old Phoenix woman Nancy Guthrie, who happens to be the mother of Today co-anchor Savannah Guthrie, was last seen on Sunday. Well, I guess she was reported disappeared on Sunday when she was not seen at church. I guess that's the better way to say that. Something that was out of character for her. She was somebody who had a schedule, and that schedule is very important to her. When police responded to her house after there were calls for an investigation, they found what they describe as a crime scene. Now, this is a case that's a few days old. We're going to get into it a little bit tonight. We're going to catch up the channel. We're going to talk a little bit about it. There was a press conference today that we're also going to check out. So, yeah, missing 84-year-old. Let's get into it. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. Glad you are joining me wherever you're joining me from. And please, I know that some people have already started because you guys know how much I love it. Please tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from. Guys, this case has taken on a little bit of a life of its own. Number one, I think in fairness, because there's some celebrity attached to it, right? Savannah Guthrie is a beloved journalist and anchor here in the United States. And our victim here is her mom, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Push the right button, Javi. There you go. But I also would point out, because I think that I've seen a couple comments that are like, hey, if this were my mom, would the FBI be involved? The answer is probably yes if the local authorities needed help. And they often do. They use the crime labs, they use forensic stuff. So the answer is probably yes. Now, would you get the same media attention? Probably not. But for me, it's mostly about that we have a member of a segment of our population that is the most vulnerable, right? I think that we all feel a little more, touched or influenced or outraged when a member of our society, a member of our individual communities who is in a segment that is a little more vulnerable when it happens to them. And so, when we talk about children, we get outraged. When we talk about the elderly, we get outraged. And it gets really easy to look at a photo of Ms. Guthrie here and say, that could be my mom or that could be my grandma, right? And so, yeah, there is a little bit of celebrity attached to this for sure. But I honestly think that that's just works well in the favor of this case. Works favorably in this case because Savannah Guthrie is so well known and they know how to use the media, and the media kind of stands behind their own. And in this case, I would say good on them for it. So let's talk a little bit about what happened. Let's talk a little bit about what happened today. But first, let's catch up. But before we do that, oh, Javi, I nearly jumped the gun. Nearly jumped the gun. I want to see where you guys are coming in from. What do we got? We got Central Kentucky is in the house. Let me make sure that these buttons here are working. Come on, buttons. This isn't Javi's fault. This is the buttons working. Yeah, Central Kentucky is here. Balmy Virginia, full on 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Austin is here. What else we got? Oh, here's a good comment. Scotch's mom. I think the FBI is involved because the sheriff's department doesn't have enough manpower to do it alone, and they probably need all the help they can get right now. Yeah, the FBI field offices stand at the ready to help local law enforcement. They do. in my little podunk corner, which I say with love because I love my little podunk corner of Western Pennsylvania, not only do the state police, but the feds get involved when there is a need for them to get involved. They're always standing at the ready. It's pretty awesome. Oregon, Jonesboro, Arkansas is here. Let's see, North Carolina, Melbourne, Australia, St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Kennesaw, Georgia, Conyers, Georgia, Stanhope, New Jersey, Sunny's, probably not Salt Lake Tahoe, maybe South Lake Tahoe. Yeah, Ohio. What do we got? Florida. We got Portland, Oregon. You guys are all over the place. Thank you very much for tuning in. A couple of early comments here. Schmoopy69, am I the only one who pops on and Gavin is in the middle of a sentence? Yeah, I'm sorry that happens sometimes. Just back it up. Just back it up a few seconds. Put it on 1.5 speed. It'll catch up really, really happy. Really, really quickly. Happy Tuesday from Bermuda. From my Bermuda fan. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Sunny Day says, what are some things that constitute a crime? Blood, broken items, missing items. Yeah, signs of a struggle, perhaps. Very, very good. Good comments already. Eastern Kentucky. Mary's asking me, do you think it's someone she knows? I don't know. I don't know. There just hasn't been a lot to come out yet. So let's go over. I found a couple of articles actually from the New York Times. I want to go over to, and let's just check in with these real quick. This was published today. What to know about the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy. And this is a picture of her Phoenix area home. The authorities in Arizona are searching for Nancy Guthrie. I thought I had a photo of the home. I think I didn't make a button for it. Okay, the authorities in Arizona are searching for Nancy Guthrie, 84, the mother of the Today anchor Savannah Guthrie, who has been missing since Sunday and whose disappearance is being investigated as a crime. Ms. Guthrie was last seen at her home near Tucson on Saturday night around 9:30 p.m., according to Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. In an interview with CNN on Monday, he said he thought that Ms. Guthrie had been kidnapped based on the scene at her home. That is just so scary. So scary. Ms. Guthrie was last seen. I just read that. Here's what we know. What happened? The authorities responded to a 911 call reporting Ms. Guthrie missing at noon on Sunday, Sheriff Nanos said. They began a search for her, employing a search and rescue team, volunteers, dogs, drones, and a helicopter. Sheriff Nanos described Ms. Guthrie's home as, quote, a crime scene, close quote, on Monday, adding that, quote, we saw some things at the home that were concerning to us, close quote, without offering more details. He added that Ms. Guthrie has limited mobility and requires medication every 24 hours and could die without it. I wonder if they looked in the house to see if the medication was left behind. I would imagine that they would. I mean, I've only ever been on like a it wasn't even a crime scene. It was a death scene, a death investigation scene. And I've only done that one time in my life. And one of the first things that death investigator did was look at the medications. Anyway, Kevin Adger, a public information officer with the sheriff's office, said on Monday that investigators believe she was taken from her home against her will, possibly in the middle of the night. Excuse me. I got to do more breathing exercises. Now, detectives are looking into a possible kidnapping or abduction. Ms. Guthrie was described in a missing persons notice as 5 feet 5 inches tall, with brown hair and blue eyes, and vulnerable. Of course, she's 84 years old. And this kind of stuff, crimes against the elderly, pardon my language here for a second, just really piss me off, man. They are the most vulnerable part of our society. And, I mean, I know children are vulnerable too, but I just feel like many adults, even those that are beloved, are just way more vulnerable because they have been independent their whole lives. And I see in my day job as a reporter on the crime beat, I see people taking advantage of the elderly all the time through scams and stuff like that. So this just gets under my skin, man. Pushing the right button. The authorities said it was not a dementia-related case. And then there's a photo of the missing person's little graphic. I would call it a flyer, but we don't live in that world anymore, Gavin. We live in a much different world. Who is Nancy Guthrie? Ms. Guthrie has periodically appeared on Today Show segments alongside her daughter, Savannah. In 2022, Savannah Guthrie marked her mother's 80th birthday on a Today broadcast. Okay, for those of you who are new, I'm not bored. I'm not tired. I start reading and I go to the end of my breath. That's my problem. And then it triggers my body to get more oxygen, I think. I'm very sorry for the yawns. I should have a yawn button, or like a little, like, you know how I do for tangents, like yeah, maybe I should have that for a yawn break. I have a yawn button. Javi, put that in the show notes for our post show meeting. Do we need to get a yawn graphic? A yawn. What are they called? Stabs? I can't remember. Anyway, in 2022, Savannah Guthrie marked her mother's 80th birthday on a Today broadcast, praising her grit and resilience. Quote, "She's quick and she's smart. She's well-read. She's curious about everything," Savannah Guthrie said of her mother during the 2022 tribute. Savannah Guthrie's father died of a heart attack when she was 16, she wrote in 2017. When she and her sister began college, they both opted to live at home. Quote, "One of us would always stay home on one of the weekend nights so that my mom wouldn't be alone," she wrote. When Ms. Guthrie was 70, so 14 years ago, the anchors of Today surprised her with a phone call during the live broadcast. And last fall, Today aired a segment in which Savannah Guthrie took a tour of Tucson, her hometown, in which she says that her mother moved there in the 1970s. That's poorly written, but I get it. What's the status of the investigation? Sheriff Nanos told NBC that investigators had taken DNA samples from Ms. Guthrie's home, but that it could be several days until the samples could produce any conclusive evidence. He talked about this a little bit in the press conference, which we're going to watch here. According to a segment on Today on Tuesday morning, the sheriff's office has asked the public for help in looking for Ms. Guthrie. So here is the deal, guys. Like, look at her. 5'5", 150 pounds, 84 years old, brown hair. What else do we have? Blue eyes. On the short end of the length of her hair there. And let me bring this up one more time as well. Right here. It's the same photo. She was last seen the evening of January 31st at her residence near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue. Then I think about it. I need a button. Unknown what clothes she may have been wearing. Let's see. The sheriff's office has asked the public for help in looking for Ms. Guthrie and said it does not yet have a strong lead. The sheriff also told NBC that while investigators are not ruling anything out, Ms. Guthrie's relationship to her famous daughter is not a main part of the investigation. And I believe that's true. The sheriff's office would be doing what they're doing, whether we were paying attention or not. Maybe they are working a little bit harder, a little bit longer because more of us are paying attention. The rest of it, I don't know that we need to read, but, let's next thing, let's see first. Let me just check to see what you guys are saying over here. Libu Grizzly is watching from Salvador, Brazil. Thank you very much. Sunny Days says, I think this was a well-planned event, planned ahead of time. I believe someone mentioned the cameras were missing from her house. Yeah, they did mention that. And The sheriff was asked about that today. He didn't have any more information. Garth B. Nutt likes the glasses. Yeah, I've become addicted to buying glasses online. It's become maybe it has replaced my eating habit. Maybe that's what it is. But thank you very much. Are you able to fall asleep right after your live stream? No, I am a night owl. I'm a person that stays up very, very late into the wee morning hours. Adeline Schmidt, what's your gut instinct regarding the ransom note? I'm always skeptical when a note appears for a case that's getting a lot of attention. I haven't seen the ransom note. I know that they brought it up in the press conference today, and the sheriff was like, "I can't talk about that." But let me just look at this real quick. Nancy Guthrie ransom note. So this is what TMZ reported. Let me mute this just in case it auto plays. Yep, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna show you the website here. Pima County Sheriff's Department, we are aware of reports circulating about possible ransom notes regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. We are taking all tips and leads very seriously. Anything that comes in goes directly to our detectives who are coordinating with the FBI. We encourage anyone who may have any information or tips to share via this QR code. Yeah. So TMZ reports the note, which was sent to us Tuesday morning, demands a specific substantial amount of Bitcoin. What? Okay, the Pima County Sheriff's Department posted on X that they are aware of reports circulating about possible ransom notes regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. The tweet says blah, blah, blah. Another scary twist in the disappearance of Today host Savannah Guthrie's kidnapped mother. TMZ has received an alleged ransom note demanding payment for the release of Nancy Guthrie. Well, listen, if this is a hoax, then that is a special kind of evil, man. So they're demanding cryptocurrency be sent to a specific Bitcoin address. TMZ has verified the address is real. There's a deadline connected to the alleged ransom and an element of or else. In the moment of our live stream above, Harvey and Charles said she was wearing an item mentioned in the note. In fact, the note says she was not wearing it. Okay. The alleged ransom note also describes another item the sender says was damaged at her Tucson area home. We forward the alleged ransom demand to Pima County Sheriff. Okay, so TMZ is saying they got a note. And yeah, so what is my instinct regarding the ransom note? Well, I'm happy that TMZ has sent it along to see if there is if what they're saying is true about the items that were missing or whatever at the house. I don't know though. That kind of stuff doing it publicly like that feels rather showy, doesn't it? Anyway, Mooney, gift in the memberships. Thank you very much. Yeah, and some prankster just as likely as not. Yeah, it's probably 50-50 chance. You're probably right there. Fourth Opinion says, the medicine has me thinking she would be unalived by now, so does the abductor have the medicine? Just thinking out loud. I'd wondered that myself. I don't know if she would die within 24 hours, but, and I don't know what medicine she has. Do you think TMZ was irresponsible reporting about the ransom sent to them, possibly endangering Mrs. Guthrie's life? I think that anybody, if it is real, I think anybody sending it to TMZ would know what TMZ would do with that. That's like, yeah, like I don't think so. It's TMZ, right? If they were sending it to the San Francisco Chronicle like the Zodiac did and saying, keep this between us or what, I don't know. It's TMZ. It's TMZ. Emmy says she's taking meds for high blood pressure and heart issues. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, let us, if we can, and let's see, I think I saw another thing. I need a PIST button as well. Did I miss that somewhere? Yes. Robin says I need a PIST button. So I need a PIST button. I need a yawn button. Javi, I hope you're taking notes, man. Libu Grizzly says this case seems so sinister, like a targeted attack either by someone in her circle, church group staff, or someone looking to get back at Savannah. I've seen speculation about Savannah's ex. Ooh, man, I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not the case. All right, I want to take you over here. This is, I think it's about 14 minutes long. Let me see. Yeah, 1359. That is indeed about 14 minutes long. I'm sure some of us have already seen this, but I'm gonna show it anyway. When we get into the questions, I might be like, okay, we've had enough of this because it's mostly just can't tell you that, don't know that, can't tell you that, don't know that. But what I have done for this, and I just want to give a little heads up for those who are wearing earphones, headphones, or earbuds. Maybe just do a little check with them. I brought the volume to where I believe it is close to what the volume is of my show, but and I also cleaned up a bit of the noise. So let's go ahead and watch this now. Here we go.
Good morning. I don't know that everybody knows who's here. Of course, I'm Sheriff Chris Nanos. John Edwards is the Tucson chief here for the FBI, and he'll have some words for you as well. This is really, for me, pretty new, all the media attention. So I apologize to you for sometimes I'm speaking in generalities, and I'm not used to everybody hanging on to my words and then trying to hold me accountable for what I say, but I understand. So we're going to try our best to be succinct with you.
Seems like a cool guy.
And also more important for you to understand is we have a lot of work in front of us. We have a job to do. And we have someone's life who is in jeopardy. And so job number one is we got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that. I understand there's great attention on this. And rightfully so. And I appreciate it. And I thank you for it because it has generated a lot of leads for us. And so we're tracking those leads, and we're doing things with evidence that.
I love it when law enforcement works with media as a tool and as a partner to get more information. I hate it when law enforcement is, like, what is the word that I'm looking for in this segment brought to you by Alzheimer's disease. Oh my goodness. I'm looking for the word right now. I can't find it, but in confrontation, I guess, with the media. This guy seems like, hey, listen, we're getting as much information out there as we can. Hopefully we'll get more leads.
That you would expect us to be doing. So having said that, we're going to set this up. I know that a number of you yesterday, you guys drove me crazy. Yesterday I was going from AM to all the way till 9, 10, 11, midnight, answering concerns and questions, and it's just too tough. And it's not fair to the case. So what I'm going to tell you is today we're going to do this similar to what we're doing right now. Here we'll take questions. It's not really my briefing, it's your briefing. You'll be able to ask us some questions. We'll probably shut you off after a while because I just can't be here all day. We have work to do. But we'll take some questions, and then in a couple of days, unless something breaks, we'll do this every couple of days. So, and we'll set up with you through our PIO teams to give you anything that comes up that might change, but clearly they will notify you on these.
I really like this guy, man.
Briefings. So with that, I'm going to ask John to come up. If you've got a statement to say, John, and then we'll take some questions and we'll get back to work.
Hello, I'm John Edwards. My spelling is JONEDWARDS. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI's office here in Tucson. First, we want the community to know that the FBI is doing everything in our power to bring Nancy Guthrie home to her family. The FBI is working alongside the Pima County Sheriff's Department on this incident. In terms of what the FBI is doing, we are providing the following support. Primarily, it's analytical and technical support in the following ways. We're downloading and analyzing cell phones, obtaining cell tower information, conducting interviews, and providing any and all investigative support that the Sheriff's Department needs. We're looking at this from every angle, but we need your help. If you live in the area or saw something on Saturday night, the 31st of January, or Sunday morning, the 1st of February, please report it to the Pima County Sheriff's Department or the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Antagonistic is the word I was
Every
looking for.
lead and tip is important. We are aggressively pursuing and looking into every single one. Again, please help us bring Nancy Guthrie home. Thank you.
Simple statement.
We'll take some questions.
Sheriff, is there any indication so far as to whether this was a random abduction or targeted?
It's like I said earlier, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know. We're going to assume both sides of that. We'll look at both sides of that.
Do you have any idea what Nancy Guthrie was wearing, or the type of car that she might have left from, or any identifiable information that the public could use to help with those tips?
We do not.
Sheriff, do you believe that one or more than one person was involved in the kidnapping?
I just no clue. It could have been one. It could have been more. I don't know. Let me get one second.
Is there any indication that Nancy Guthrie is still alive? We know the medication played a critical role here. It's been 48 hours.
Asking about medications. Is she still alive? Is there an indication she's still alive?
We hope we are. We hope we are.
Sheriff said earlier that you don't believe there's a wider threat to the public. If you're not sure if it's targeted, why do you believe there's no wider threat to the public?
Well, we have crime in Tucson all the time, right? Like any city. And so when you say a threat to the public, is there somebody out there who's kidnapping elderly people in the middle of the night every night? We've not heard that. We don't believe that's the case. We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will, and that's where we're at.
Sheriff, when you reference violence at the site, can you elaborate on that? And also, was there a sign of forced entry, any valuables taken, any bank or ATM cards used after a disappearance?
We're not getting into that. What I'd tell you is, like any crime scene, we processed this crime scene. We gathered all the evidence we could, to include looking for what? Fingerprints, DNA, camera images, everything you can imagine. And we gathered that out. Those things have been submitted forward to labs, to technological companies to help us. And we're like you. We're waiting for those returns to come back.
Did you find DNA that did not belong in that house?
The window of...
By the way, some people complain that he didn't say anything here, but that last answer was a very, very good answer. We have collected a whole bunch of stuff. It has been sent out for processing, and then he said, and we've sent it to companies. That tells me that he's going. It's not necessarily a subpoena, or maybe they're getting warrants, or maybe they're just requesting information from companies like Nest, the Ring cameras and stuff like that. That sounded like a non-answer, but that was a very telling answer right there.
Time from when she was last seen to when she was reported missing, and I know you guys are asking for help from the public. Is there any way to narrow down what time you might be helpful? I know there was a report about a pacemaker dinging like around 2 o'clock in the morning. Is there any way to indicate to people, hey, look around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. to help them identify?
I really don't want to get into narrowing down the time, because narrowing it down means we could miss some tips and leads. We're working on
great answer.
The data we've submitted for investigative analysis. We're working to see if that time can be tightened up. But for now, we're going with what we told you earlier. She was dropped off at 9:30, and she was found to be missing at about 11 o'clock Sunday morning.
That is honestly a great answer. Like, we're not narrowing down anything. If we narrow things down, we might miss something. So we're focused on the data. Very good.
Let me get this one.
DNA of anyone else found in the house?
We've submitted all kinds of samples for DNA, and we've gotten some back, but nothing to indicate any suspects.
Anybody strange in the neighborhood? I know you're looking at videos different.
Again, it sounds like he said nothing there, but no, he's like, we've started to get information on DNA back. So far, we haven't found a suspect. That's very important. A lot of people, I see people in the comments going, I'll be back when this part is over because he didn't say anything. No, that was a big piece of information right there.
And we should be looking out at different cars.
I have nothing in that regard.
Have any demands been made by kidnappers?
We have all kinds of investigative leads we're working on.
Sheriff, we noticed that the camera on the front of the house is missing. Do you believe the perpetrator purposely took the camera?
Don't know that. We're looking into that as well.
Has that scene been fully processed now? We saw deputies leave around 6 o'clock last night. We didn't see tape go up. An Amazon driver was able to walk right up to the door. Is that pretty standard for how you handle this?
The scene is done. We're done with the residents. If we need to go back to get, maybe we want to do something with some other piece of evidence there, we contact the family and let them know. But we've turned that over to the family. I don't have the time, but
Again,
it was sometime yesterday, I believe.
That's a good piece of information. They have processed the scene. Everything that they're going to get out of that scene, they've gotten out of it, they think. So, yeah.
No, ma'am.
Around the house.
No.
Was there
Sure.
any? Can you please take us through the timeline that you've established of the events so far?
He's like, timeline?
9:45, 9:30, 9:45, we were told she was left at her home by the family. At 11 o'clock in the morning, the family got notice from somebody at church that she was not at church. They went to the home, found her to be missing. That's the timeline. From Saturday night, 9:45, we'll say, to Sunday morning, 11 o'clock.
Have you been
Let
able
me
to
get somebody back here, please.
Have you interviewed the people that reported her missing, the people from the...
That's the family. Oh, from the church as well. We're doing all kinds of interviews. Yes, I'm sure we have.
Have you been able to access the footage from the cameras at the house?
That's all been submitted, and we're doing our best with those companies who own those cameras or built those cameras.
Are there any plans to release those videos from the cameras, from the surveillance? Are there any plans to release the video from the cameras, surveillance footage?
Yeah,
We
I
don't even
disagree
have
with
them yet,
Doug's
so no,
discussions
not
here.
at this time.
Sheriff,
This is an active
Sheriff,
investigation.
there's a report of a suspicious man a few doors down last week. Is that anything that you guys are aware of?
I'm not aware of it. My detectives may be. There's a lot of detective work being done, and I just can't get into those weeds or even discuss with you what they may not have learned.
For
Yes,
A
ma'am.
report from the board yesterday. Are there specific resources that maybe the board has not granted that would have made a difference responding to this case?
Well, that's getting into my own local politics. I apologize. Yes, the board a few weeks ago denied a request for more cameras, more drones, more AI capabilities with our own body-worn cameras. All those things, that you'd have to talk to the board. I'm not probably not the right time to go into this.
Sheriff,
Let me get somebody else here.
Sheriff,
Yes.
do you believe she's still in this area?
Do we believe?
Do you believe she's still in this area, or is there somewhere else?
We don't know where she is. So we're like any investigation. You start from the point of where we last saw her, and we work out, and we are working as far out as we can go.
Sheriff, can you walk through
Were there
the evidence
evidence
on
of forced entry at the house, like any broken windows or whatever? Does it seem like people just went in and out?
There are concerns at the house that concerned us from the early on part of this investigation, and that's all I will tell you. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Is there any history with Nancy needing police at her place, or concerns that she was worried about somebody following her, or?
Our investigative team has looked into all of those things, and that has not been brought to my attention. So she may have had something like that, but I'm not aware of it.
What is the extent of collaboration with the federal government? Obviously, FBI is here, CBP. Are there other agencies also involved?
CBP's role in this was in our search and rescue mission, where we constantly use them. They have great dogs. Our dogs aren't tracking dogs for this. Theirs are, and so they came out and did that. Anybody else, though, that we've asked for help from, whether it's the FBI, I know if we needed help from CBP or DEA or ATF, they would gladly give it. I've heard from leadership from all sorts of agencies, not just at the federal level, but across the state. Every one of them saying, Sheriff, you need anything, we're here.
Sure.
So you obviously
There's a great comment here.
They got on scene, they found suspicious circumstances.
Thanks,
When the
Tony
family
Frank.
called originally to report her missing, did they say anything about the state of the home?
I don't know that. I don't know. Let me hang on. Let me make sure I'm getting some different people here. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there was blood that was found inside the house and you're testing it for DNA. How much blood and where was it?
I'm not saying there's blood inside that house or outside that house. What I'm saying is our team processed a scene like you would think of any crime scene. We go in and we process it. We look for things like that: blood, DNA, any kind of physical evidence, fingerprints, anything, and all of that is gathered and submitted to a lab. That lab will report back to us what they find. So far, that what we found from that lab is nothing that would tell us this is who did this.
We'll take a couple more questions and then the sheriff's got to go.
Sheriff, can you walk through the evidence that was found at the scene in as much detail as possible?
No, I cannot.
What is
I
the
cannot.
bottleneck to the surveillance footage? I know you said some of it is in the cloud, but you've also been reached out to tech companies that are saying they're cooperating. Why do you not have the surveillance footage on the
That's what I tell them. How come I don't have this? Where's my evidence?
This is a great answer.
It is a process, and I'm sorry, but you know, we're grateful that there's large corporations and companies who have bent over backwards to help us, to say, hey, Sheriff, tell us what you need. And so, yeah, I can't slam them. And we've asked them. They know the urgency here, but I'm like you. What do you mean I don't know that now? Yeah, it's tough.
Follow up on an answer that you gave earlier. You were asked if there
Last question.
You were asked if there was any ransom, and you didn't say no. You said we're following all leads. Does that mean a ransom has come in?
We're following all leads we have. That's all.
He's not going to say anything about it.
Hundreds of leads, and it's from you that produce those leads by telling people we need help, and I'm grateful for that. But I'm not going to get into all that. We have a team designated to deal with all of our leads. They're looking into all of that.
I think he's handling the press really well.
All of our leads with the FBI. They are helping us in evaluating those leads, how good they are, where that priority should be. And so we're just, look, I know you guys are doing your job and you're doing a great job. But we have a job to do too. And I really need to back away from this for a while. And we'll see you, unless something breaks, we'll see you Thursday morning. PIO will give you a time frame, I'm guessing somewhere around 11:30.
Okay, so I think he handled it very, very well. I honestly, and I don't think this was a nothing burger. I think we got a lot out of this. I am curious about the whole ransom side of things. Very curious about that. I want to go back to the website and see if anybody else is talking about that. Let's see. Sheriff says they're aware. The Pima County Sheriff's Department said Tuesday that it is aware of reports regarding possible ransom notes related to Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. Yeah, that's the same social media post that we read. Okay, do we have a little time? Yeah, we have maybe just a little bit more time. There was one more article out of the New York Times also today that I wanted to quickly read. It's a short article. Headline: Authorities believe Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, was taken against her will. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie, was being investigated as a kidnapping amid fears that she was taken without a medication she needed every 24 hours. The search for Ms. Guthrie, 84, entered a third day on Tuesday after she was reported missing from her home near Tucson, Arizona on Sunday. Here it comes. Yep. Dang it. Chris Nanos, the sheriff, offered few new details about the investigation at a news conference on Tuesday, saying that it was unclear if the abduction of Ms. Guthrie was targeted or ransom, and that investigators did not know if more than one person was involved in it. Quote, "We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will, and that's where we're at," Sheriff Nanos said. John Edwards, the assistant special agent in charge of the FBI's Tucson field office, said agents were conducting interviews, receiving cell phone information, and getting information from cell phone towers. He asked anyone who saw anything suspicious near Ms. Guthrie's home on Saturday night or Sunday morning to call the authorities. I think they'll start to get cell phone stuff pretty quickly. Sheriff Nano said at a news conference on Sunday that Ms. Guthrie was last seen at her home when she was dropped off by family members on Saturday night around 9:30. Ms. Guthrie's family learned on Sunday morning that she had not attended church. They went to her home, but did not find her there, according to the sheriff's office. Her wallet, cell phone, and vehicle were at the house, the authorities said. Sheriff Nano said there were signs at Ms. Guthrie's home that concerned investigators from the beginning of the investigation, but declined to elaborate on what those were. He declined to answer a question about whether there was blood in the home, and he reiterated that today. I'm not saying it was inside or outside. Now, I saw a comment that said Brian Enton on scene was reporting showing blood, but yeah, I'll have to check that out. Ms. Guthrie has limited mobility and needs daily medication, or she could die without it, the authorities said. She does not have cognitive issues. Her brain is functioning very, very well. She lives in the Catalina Foothills, an unincorporated community just north of Tucson that is nestled against the Santa Catalina Mountains. Homes there tend to be more expensive than others in the area. Many houses are on large lots surrounded by desert, including vegetation like saguaro and prickly pear cactuses. Oh, do I have a story about prickly pears? Oh man, I have a story about prickly pears. Tell you what, if we have time, I will tell you about prickly pears. Thick desert shrubs. Her daughter, Annie Guthrie, lives nearby, according to public records. Savannah Guthrie was absent from Today's Show, yada yada. On Monday night, Savannah Guthrie asked in a social media post for people to pray for her mother's safe return. Raise your prayers with us and believe with us that she will be lifted by them in this very moment, she wrote, ending the message with the words, "Bring her home." And that's about it. So that's where we are on the case. And I think this is going to be one of those cases where nothing happens until something really happens. Let's check in to see what you guys are saying. We'll bring up Nancy's picture again, and let's just see if there's anything that I have missed before we move on. Joanne Marie says, that doesn't sound good that we wait for another update. Yeah, we'll probably have to do that. Hello from Great Falls, Montana. Mama Bear 3 Claws Out says, thanks for being here, Mama Bear. Tiff wants the tangent. Tiff wants the prickly pear story. Okay, here we go. No. Let's before we do that, let's get into 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Did you see how I did that so dramatically there, Javi? That was pretty good, huh? I'm back. Okay. 3 questions. That's what we're doing. We just had the jingle. In this segment, if you're new here, I answer 3 questions that are sent in by you to an email address set up for just this occasion. Send your questions to 3questions@gavinfish.com. 3questions@gavinfish.com. It's spelled out THREE, questions@gavinfish.com. Now, anything is on the table, nothing is off the table. I should say everything is on the table, nothing is off the table. You can ask me anything. Tonight, we have some questions that are political in nature. This is not a political show, but I have said you can ask me anything, and I will answer those questions. But be prepared to be disappointed when I answer them, okay? Okay, question number 1 is, have you ever met somebody evil? I don't know that I've ever met somebody evil, but I have been in a courtroom with somebody who I was convinced was definitionally evil. Yeah. I have met people that have done pretty evil things. I guess that makes them evil. Just like pretty nefarious, sinister stuff. So I guess the answer is yes. Question number 2. Could you vote for a person with no integrity? Yes. Yes, I could. And I think that if you think that anybody who is an elected official here in the United States is are bastions of integrity, I think you have the wool pulled over your eyes. I think most of our politicians are dillholes without sans integrity, let's say. So yeah, I could vote for a person without integrity. I likely have voted for many people who lack such a such a thing in their person. And question number 2, are you disappointed in our political system? I'm not. No, listen. Okay, so I am a student of history. Okay, one of my very favorite people to read about is John Adams, the second president and first vice president of these here United States. I got into John Adams after I saw the miniseries on HBO, and I was like, dang, I got to read some stuff. And there is a biography by David McCullough that is so good. It's just titled John Adams. He is a character that I just love to study. Okay. One of the things that you learn about John Adams is that he was one of the 3 drafters of the Declaration of Independence. Now, we all know Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, but there were 3 people that worked on it mainly, right? Jefferson, Adams, and Franklin. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson really did not see eye to eye, and the Declaration of Independence was an exercise in 2 dudes that did not get along well with one another, trying to do a job with one another. And then once that was done, and I think Adams had a bit of an ego. I think Jefferson had a bit of an ego. But when Jefferson beat Adams to be president of the United States, he was the 3rd president of the United States, so he beat Adams in the re-election. That whole campaign started an acrimonious relationship, and the vitriol that was spit between those 2 dudes is impressive. It's historically impressive. Now, one of the things that's lovely about it is that in their agedness, the 2 men became quite friendly through correspondence, and it's a lovely thing that they did mend fences. But when I see our current political system, I see it operating as it's designed by imperfect and sometimes terrible people, but I don't think that it's any worse than it was 3 years into the Republic. I just don't. Yeah. I just don't. So anyway, those are the answers to my questions. It was very quick this time. If you have answers that you want to share, please put them in the comments. I would love to hear it. And while you are working out your little thumbs to answer those questions for yourself, let's get into headlines.
True crime headlines.
Pow! Okay, headline number 1 actually was brought to me by a reader. Dang it. I really should have made it known who that reader. Thank you very much, or viewer. Thank you very much. Do you guys remember this case? The case of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly. I don't have a button that will bring them up, but if you go to my website, gavinfish.com, and you go to the case page, you will see kind of up near the top, if I remember correctly, the case page. Man, it is loading slowly today. Anyway, this is a case where it was basically family drama, right? And this woman here, Jillian Kelly, no, I'm trying to remember. It was Veronica Butler, the one in the Los Angeles Dodgers shirt, was having a tiff with her baby daddy's mom, and Jillian Kelly, the blonde here in front, was just a good Samaritan helping her with visitation. Okay, crazy Crazy case. Well, the mother-in-law, let's say, Tiffany Adams, has been sentenced for the murders of Veronica and Jillian. Finally, this happened yesterday. So yesterday, a judge sentenced Adams with 2 life sentences of life without the possibility of parole. 2 murder counts, 2 unlawful removal of a dead body counts, and 2 unlawful desecration of a human corpse. In 2024, Adams orchestrated the murders of 2 Kansas women during a custody exchange. Butler and Kelly were last seen on March 30th, 2024. Their car was later found abandoned in rural Texas County. On April 14th, 2024, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation announced the bodies of the 2 women had been found. At the time, 4 suspects were taken into custody. Look at these winners: Tad Cullum, Tiffany Adams, Cole and Cora Twombly, or some people pronounced it Toombly. I'm not sure which one is correct. Then 10 days later, the 5th suspect, Paul Grice, was arrested. All 5 were charged with first-degree murder. Anywho, what do we have? So, Adams pleaded no contest to the 9 charges. Cora Twombly, Paul Grice have individual plea agreements in place. In December 2025, the 2 gave testimony about the murders. Grice will not receive the DP in exchange for his testimony. Twombly's plea agreement includes her testifying and serving 30 years in prison before she's eligible for parole. Tad Cullum's trial is scheduled to start October 16th. They're trying to avoid the DP for him. This case, guys, this case, it simultaneously made me so angry and so disappointed in humanity, and also made me laugh so hard at the absolute stupidity of these idiots, these ones, Rachir, these idiots. They full on wanted to drop an anvil out of a truck into that. Like, they had weird Wile E. Coyote style plans to off this woman. It was stupid. And I'm glad that she is going to be in prison for the rest of her life. Next headline, we've got some information on the Deputies, guys. Autopsies reveal some new information. And I've been wrong about something for the last several weeks. The Franklin County Coroner's Office has released autopsy reports detailing the deaths of Spencer and Monique Tepe, the Columbus couple found shot to death in their home in December. According to reports, Spencer Tepe was shot 7 times, including wounds to the head, neck, and chest. Monique Tepe was shot 9 times, including the face and chest. That is unbridled anger, if I've ever heard of it, right? The report further states, this is the guy that's charged of Monica's ex-husband, Mr. Michael McKee, or Dr. Michael McKee. The report further states Monique was shot at close range. Coroner listed the times of death for both as 10:11 a.m. on December 30th. That would be the time that they were discovered. It's not like the movies or on TV where they can say exactly when the people died usually. I mean, there are ways to determine it, but anyway. That's 9 times for Monique, including her face at close range. 7 times for Spencer. Just absolutely horrible. And the third one that I have for you tonight, just a quick little update on Melody Buzzard. Headline says, Melody Buzzard's belongings removed from home, memorial arrangements finalized. A judge has determined that one of 9-year-old Melody Buzzard's half-sisters will be responsible for decisions surrounding her remains as memorial items continue to accumulate outside the Vandenberg Village home where she lived. Melody was found shot to death in a rural area of Utah, December 6th. Her mother, Ashley Buzzard, is charged with her murder. During a hearing at the Santa Maria courthouse on Monday, the judge confirmed that Destiny Contreras, Melody's maternal half-sister, will oversee the disposition of Melody's remains, including cremation and final arrangements. And her maternal half-sister. Okay, so Ashley's daughter, but doesn't share the same father as Melody. In court, it was revealed that a private memorial service for Melody is scheduled later this month at a Santa Maria church. On February 10th, which would have been Melody's 10th birthday, other family members will be planning a separate memorial event. So, yeah, that is what has happened there. Hopefully she can be laid to rest, and we can get a conviction on this one. Those, my friends, are your headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. For those of you who are sticking around to the end, I am going to pay off my tease on the prickly pears. Okay? I'm going to pay it off. Okay. When I was a kid, until the age of 8, I was raised in Utah. For half of that time, I was in Salt Lake City, and for the other half, I was up beyond the Wasatch Front in Summit County, Utah, in a little town up there called Peoa, which is heaven on earth. Peoa is a beautiful spot. It's just wonderful. Anytime I'm in Utah, I make my way up there just to drive through, see Grandpa and Grandma's house, see all the old stomping grounds. That I just love it up there. But behind my grandparents' home, we called it a mountain, and by Pennsylvania standards, it was a mountain. It was tall, but it was a hill that went up. And then this part of Utah, while there are trees and so forth up there in the Uintas, this part of it was mostly desert. Lots of sagebrush and lots of prickly pears. If you don't know what a prickly pear is, it is a cactus plant that grows on the ground. It really doesn't get very tall. It's just a cactusy plant that grows on the ground, and they're everywhere. And we just knew to avoid them, right? And you can see them, you can spot them. But we did a lot of playing up on that hill. We'd shoot our pellet guns or our 22s, or we'd go and throw rocks. There was a quarry up there. There was a little spring up at the top of it that we could hike up to. There's just a lot of fun stuff that little kids could do up there. Well, one of the things that we liked to do, what did we call it? We called it, I can't remember what we used to call it, but basically, we liked to run full speed down the mountain. It's stupid. My knees couldn't take it today, but we'd get to the top of the mountain and we'd race down. And this is a mountain. This is going down several hundred feet over the course of not too many like horizontal feet, right? You're running down a mountain. It was like we were Jim's mountain bred horse in Man from Snowy River. We just sprinted down that thing and we would race to the bottom. It was fun. But one of the things you had to be careful of was not falling, because if you started to tumble and you were in the line of a prickly pear, you'd hit it, and it was not fun. And that happened to me exactly one time. So I'm going down the hill. Yes, this is a tangent. I'm going down the hill and I trip. I think I'm 5 years old. So obviously I'm not running like very quickly, but for a 5-year-old, I'm giving it my all, right? And I'm running down and I trip, I stumble, I start to roll, and I roll right over and into a prickly pear. I am covered in their little needles, and they just have thousands of them. I'm covered in these little needles. And I get up, and now I'm crying, and I walk to my grandparents' house, and I know that my parents are there. In fact, we lived with my grandparents at the time. But what I didn't know is that my grandmother's sisters were all there too, which meant some of my mom's cousins that were adults, some of my mom's cousins that were older than me, but still children. It meant the entire place was just chock full of people, and I needed help because I needed these spines taken out of me. It was so painful. My mom, my mom had me, it was all on my backside, the way that I had landed. It was all on my backside. My mom made me like lay over her lap, and she basically removed my clothing. I was stark naked in front of my grandma, my aunties, my mom's adult cousins, who were all moms themselves, right? But it's not that big of a deal. But I had to lay there with my bare behind hanging out while my mom pulled prickly pear spines out of my hind end and my back and the backs of my legs. Embarrassed. I didn't want to go to another family reunion ever again. But that's my mom. My mom's got a mean streak in her. Let's be honest. My mom has got a mean streak in her, and it's about as wide as her shoulder blades. I'm teasing, of course. My mom is the best, but I always say mean moms are the best moms. My mom was a no nonsense kind of gal. She still is. I was 5 years old, Reuter, when this happened. I would say 5. At the most, I was 5. That is my experience with the humble prickly pear. And for those of you who stuck around for that little tangent, thank you very much for doing so. Remember that you can always reach out to me on my website, gavinfish.com. If you click on this little icon right there, that will take you to a form that you can fill out to get me some information. I've got it fixed. It was broken last night. Also, if you click on the little fishy icon, that will take you to the fish tank where we hang out on Facebook. You're always welcome to join us on Facebook. I would love it if you would, but no guilt, man. You're just cordially invited. All right. With that, I think we're at the end of our show. We're a few minutes over, but I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with you, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time right here on this channel. And until then, I bid you, oh, by the way, has anybody noticed, let me put my hands down. Has anybody noticed a change in my set in my office? With that, I shall bid you adieu, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good night. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.